So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following along at home over some of the breaking Nintendo news over the weekend, you probably heard about the new Zelda and the new Star Fox, right? And maybe a few other games. But that was not it. Yeah, what about new Metroid, a new Warioland, and a second new Star Fox game? Yeah, there's a lot going on, so we have all that to talk about and more in this video. So let's go ahead and get right into this one. So I had a bunch of messages saying, why have you not talked about the new Zelda, or the Mario, or the Star Fox? What's going on? Come on, baby. You know I'm gonna get to it when I get to it, right? I like to take my time, let stuff soak in, figure out all the details. And I'm glad I waited, because all those leaks were only half of the leaks. Yeah, there's a lot more going on. It's very exciting stuff. 2026, it's all filled out. And we even know part of 2027. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, that would truly mean the world to me. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter so we can keep our communities growing. And let's go ahead and get right into this one. So obviously all these leaks started with the recent release of Nate the Hate's new video, right? Every time he releases a video, you want to stay tuned because you're going to learn about some big Switch 2 or Nintendo news in general. But for this example, we're talking about Switch 2 news, right? So I'm going to start breaking down some of this. Maybe you missed a couple of the smaller announcements, but it literally is like just the surface. So some of the smaller stuff that he mentioned is we have Splatoon Raiders, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, Rhythm Heaven Groove, and Switch Sports to release this summer. And, this kind of clarifies, and I think he did say this as well, but we're not getting a first party direct probably until June. Now, it does seem like there's going to be another Nintendo Direct in April. It's probably going to be a partner showcase. There's truly like another 5 or 10 games that were leaked out or, were kind of revealed or whatever that I wanted to talk about in this video, but I'm going to keep this video strictly about like Nintendo first party stuff right now. So for the time being, all this stuff is probably going to come in the summer. Now the game I'm most curious about is Switch Sports, because is this going to be a new title for the Nintendo Switch 2? Or is this going to be Switch Sports Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, which is a nightmare of a title? I almost feel like they could just do that and add more games and maybe a couple of, more mechanics, maybe some stuff with the mouse controls or something. So I don't think we even need a new Switch Sports. So that one's very interesting. But Splatoon Raiders, I've been saying that sounds like a summer game. And then Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave and Rhythm Heaven Groove also in the summer. Cool. Makes sense. Now he also says the Dust Bloods is targeting a late 2026 release, and since that very first Nintendo Switch 2 reveal direct, they showed this off, we've heard nothing official. Now they've mentioned a few times that it's still coming in 2026, but when, right? So he's saying late 2026. Another thing I've been saying for a while is I don't think they can even tell us anything about this game before bringing over the Switch 2 port of Elden Ring, right? It's like, you showed off Elden Ring, and you also showed off this, but Elden Ring, for a while, seemed like it might not have been going in the right direction. So then that makes you less confident in the Dust Bloods. Now, we've seen a bunch of hands-on gameplay recently, and it's looking a lot better, like definitely passable and playable. So again, when is Elden Ring coming to the Switch 2? Well, if I had to guess, we're getting a partner showcase in April, and I could see Elden Ring truly coming in April or May or something like that. And then they can finally start marketing for the Dust Bloods. So again, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but for the sake of this video, I'll be doing that a little bit. Again, I've been saying I feel like the Dust Bloods makes perfect sense for fall. This would be a great October release. Now, obviously, a few days ago, Nintendo showed off Fox McCloud is going to be in the Mario movie, and we had a theory because in one of the posters there was like almost like a silhouette that looked like Star Fox or Fox McCloud or whatever, but now we know that's true. And then if we're following the same kind of game plan as the first Mario movie, where they made a big deal about Donkey Kong, and then we got Donkey Kong Bonanza, well, they're probably going to do that with Star Fox. And this is what I said in my video a few days ago, and that was before Nate the Hate's video came out about Star Fox actually coming back in the summer. So now we know that Star Fox is coming back in the summer, but he says in a classic style. So I never played Star Fox on the Wii U, and it looks like something I would enjoy, but I never played it, so I can't say it's good or bad, right? Now, classic Star Fox, while it is fun, it is a little primitive. You know, even when you go back and play the older stuff, like, it's fun, and I don't really mind the graphics, but the whole concept, you're like, okay, I get it, you know, do a barrel roll, haha, it's funny, but what else could we do with the Star Fox world? Well, it turns out there's actually a second Star Fox game on the way that's going to be on a much more grand scale, but we'll talk about that more towards the end of the video. Now, a rumor we've been hearing for the past year is there's going to be an Ocarina of Time remake. And I'll be honest, you know, this is what I do for a job, cover gaming leaks and news and Nintendo stuff. I don't know where the original rumor started, and like when it did start, did it have any weight? Was it just a theory? Now, I did find somebody on like a forum, I want to say in like 2022, maybe it was on 4chan or something, or I really can't remember where it was, but it was somebody having a theory that Nintendo and Sony were doing the same thing. They were taking their biggest cult classics from the 90s, remaking them for modern eras, right? So that's why we have Final Fantasy VII Remake out, and then Nintendo was going to do Ocarina of Time Remake. And it turns out that theory looks like it's true. You could probably bet 100% in the summertime they're going to start focusing on Zelda's anniversary. They'll show this off, probably the last announcement of the Nintendo Direct, like the first party Direct. And I'm very excited for this. I have beat Ocarina of Time, I'm not even kidding, 10 times. And that's only the Nintendo 64 version. I have never played the 3DS version. It's an amazing game, and Zelda's my favorite franchise, but I don't even think I have it in my top 10 Zelda games. And I know that sounds blasphemous. You know, I've been playing it since the year 2000, I think, and I'm nostalgic for it, but I just don't have that connection to it. But I would love an Ocarina of Time remake. Now, a big question we all have is the art style and like the direction they take the gameplay. And if you remember, I want to say a year ago, we found patents from Nintendo where they were like reworking Z targeting. So while that would be, I guess, interesting to have Z targeting again, I would really like more modern controls, but whatever it is, I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, another thing they talk about is something we are not getting this year, and that is the next 3D Mario, which will come out in 2027. This is cool that we have like a release window, and while we would all like 3D Mario sooner than later, I do think this makes sense coming from Nintendo's perspective, but then at the same time, I guess it doesn't. You know, it's a double-edged sword. And what I mean is you have the massive success of the Switch 2. So early adopters of the Switch 2, like right out of the gate, they're going to buy whatever. Then you have other people who are interested also in whatever. So you can put out these not more niche games, but maybe not the big blockbuster hits like Mario, Luigi's Mansion, Kirby. I'm trying to think of other big games like that. We are getting Star Fox, but I feel like Star Fox is like on the outside of the super popular stuff. Animal Crossing. I was going to say Splatoon, but we are getting Splatoon Raiders at the same time. So Nintendo can put out these other franchises or revive them and people will buy them. But then if you're not putting out the big, let's say 5 franchises, then the people who are like casual gamers are not buying the Switch 2. So then it raises a question, do you put out Mario and all the big franchises early and have everybody buy it? Or do you know the Switch 2 is already going to be a massive success and you put out whatever you want because it's going to sell regardless, but then it would sell better if you had Mario? And I hope that made any amount of sense. So yeah, 3D Mario coming 2027. Can we please put all those dumbass Mario Titans AI pictures to rest? I've never even covered that stuff because it's so damn stupid. And then quickly before we get into all this insane new leaks like Metroid, new Star Fox, all that stuff, he also mentions Pikmin 4 Definitive Edition could arrive this summer for the Nintendo Switch 2. And if you watch my videos, let's say weekly, right? You guys know I cover patents all the time. And recently we have seen a bunch of patents. And obviously Nintendo doesn't say what it's for, but it's very clear to see it's definitely for Pikmin, and it seems like new mechanics or something. So whether we found the patents or not, it just makes sense that we would get new Pikmin. Obviously, they showed the glow Pikmin in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It's going to be in the Mario movie. Miyamoto loves Pikmin, and it's probably going to be a while before we get Pikmin 5, so I'm 100% on board for Pikmin 4 Definitive Edition. Yeah, that was just from Nate the Hate. But it turns out somebody 6 days before Nate the Hate even made his video. And I'm hearing multiple things. Like, number one, this came from a YouTube comment. But then on top of that, or I don't know on top of that, or like beside that, there's an Italian YouTuber. Whoa, Italian YouTuber? What if his name is Mario? And he has a brother named Luigi. Interesting. But somebody messaged him. It's so stupid, some of the stuff I say. Somebody messaged him and revealed all this to him, and that's where that comment came from. So the sources are all over the place, but 100% this did happen. We have proof of it, like 6 days before Nate the Hate saying this. Sorry, I'm just reading my notes right here. So this comment happened hours before Nate's podcast, but then 6 days ago on another video, he mentioned this, and a user on family boards pointed this out to an Italian YouTuber named Poro Michelle about an alleged DM they received on March 21st, and the day I'm recording this is the 28th. So this was definitely out before Nate the Hate. And what's interesting is this source had every single thing Nate the Hate said, right? Verbatim, 100% everything, plus extra stuff. So if they got everything Nate the Hate said 100%, then all this extra stuff they're saying too, it's time to pay attention to it. So like I said, they mentioned classic Star Fox, Ocarina of Time, new Switch ports, 3D Mario in 2027, right? They also mentioned a Super Metroid remake, saying that it's very close. And if I'm not mistaken, which I could be, I think this is Metroid's anniversary as well, right? The 40th anniversary of Metroid. So in the summertime, I could see Nintendo saying, look, it's Zelda's anniversary, Metroid's anniversary. I think there's a few more anniversaries as well. We have all these games coming later this year. Makes sense. I've never beat Super Metroid, but I do know a lot of people love this game. It's a lot of their favorite Metroids. So that would be incredible, especially since Metroid Dread was just a phenomenal game. Also, new Warioland, possibly 2027. That's amazing. And you have to remember, we've heard a couple of rumors about potentially Wario showing up in the Mario movie. So again, they show off Wario, they make a big deal about it, and then Wario gets a new game. That would be awesome. Warioland games are incredible. They also mentioned another new Star Fox game described as the Adventure one, which is not releasing in 2026. So we could have maybe a Star Fox remake or whatever's coming in the summer, and then a huge Star Fox game, let's say in 2027, that's expanding upon whatever the Wii U version was, right? Maybe an open world game or just something really graphically impressive, that just makes you think like, whoa, we went from whatever Star Fox was to this next interpretation of Star Fox, if that makes sense. And they also say Mercury Steam is indeed working on Metroid 6, but it will not be out in 2026. And then they clarify that the Ocarina of Time remake will not be based on the 3DS version. So normally anybody can say anything, but the fact that they said this 6 days before Nate the Hate's video, and it's verbatim, like a lot of stuff that Nate the Hate said, okay, well, it's time to pay attention to this. Something else that I'm reading right here that I actually missed, my bad. Mario Kart World DLC was postponed to 2027. So maybe that will come out about the same time as the next 3D Mario. Man, there's so much stuff going on, so this week has been crazy. There's definitely going to be a Nintendo Direct in April, probably a partner showcase if I had to guess. That next first-party Direct probably in June. And while the beginning of this year seems kind of strange for a new console, like we're getting games, but maybe not the stuff we're expecting, yeah, I think starting in the summer, moving forward, it's going to be like, where do I find time and money to play all the stuff that I actually want to play? But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this? Because your opinion matters most. So in the comments below, let me know what you guys are thinking. So much stuff is going on, man. So I would truly love to hear from you guys. And remember, if you made it all the way to the end of my video, thanks, dude. Seriously, that's freaking awesome. I know you could be watching any video. The fact that you're watching mine, thank you so much. So hit a like and subscribe. You might as well. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. You might as well. And consider becoming a channel member. We need 2 more to have 15, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure 2 more. And you guys know me. I'll see you very soon with a new video. Peace.